I'm hopeful that Hollywood is starting to recognize this more, that there is strength in diversity, that power and heroism are not reserved for one specific type of person, not one specific gender, race, class, religion, or ability. Diversity is our ultimate strength and is what will ultimately save the world. I'm Dr. Jennifer Pollitt, and I'm the Assistant Director of Gender, Sexuality, and Women's Studies at Temple University. Today, I'm here to answer the most Googled questions about superheroes and the Marvels. This is Office Hours. What is the controversy with the Marvels trailer? This is the most disliked trailer of any Marvel movie, and I don't think that's a coincidence when the three main superheroes are all female identified. The trailer's been accused, or the movie's been accused, really, of being too light, not serious enough, too funny. The same trope that women are hysterical, overly emotional, not serious, and if that's the case, how are they going to save the world? I would argue back that not all male superheroes have to be so serious, right? This goes in both directions. We treat femininity as if it's frivolous, and we treat masculinity as if it's ultimately stoic and serious. And I'm here to tell you that that's not true. We are both more similar than we are different, and there is so much more room for the full depth and breadth of human emotion across all genders. I think that this trailer is being unfairly disliked because people are uncomfortable with women, especially young women, especially women of color, being in positions of power. The thought often goes, well, if this person has power, then I have less of it. And in this case, if women have power, it must mean that power is being taken away from men. And that's just not the case. This movie is an opportunity to show that we can all share power equally for the greater good of the universe, for the greater good of humanity. So the jury's still out. We're waiting eagerly to see what these three female superheroes can do. And I don't think that we're going to be disappointed. Why is Marvel going all female? First, I think this is a really interesting question, and a question that gets asked every single time a minority population becomes the majority representation. It's always interesting when things get accused of being all female because it never goes in the other direction. In all the other Marvel movies, they never get accused of going all male, despite the fact that all of the superheroes up until now have been predominantly and primarily men. We think about this when we look at all of the representation we have in film, media, government, medicine, the boards of Fortune 500 companies. Every time there is a majority of a minority population in positions of power, we question why the board, the film, the TV show has gone all something. And that's just not the case. The Marvels isn't going all female. The Marvels is a movie that's representing three female identified superheroes because half the world population is female identified. It's also representing women in a way that is not hypersexualized or relying primarily on what their bodies look like instead of what their bodies and their minds can do. These three women are powerful because they possess solidarity with one another. They possess the same capabilities, potential, bravery, courage, passion, and desire to help save themselves and to save the world. I'm hopeful that Hollywood is starting to recognize this more, that there is strength in diversity, that power and heroism are not reserved for one specific type of person, not one specific gender, race, class, religion, or ability. Diversity is our ultimate strength and is what will ultimately save the world. Why do we still love superheroes? We love superheroes because they tell a story that is older than time, the story of the hero's journey. The hero's journey gives us a roadmap to figuring out how to meet and find our own destinies. Superheroes aren't perfect. They're flawed and complex, just like us. Their superpowers really are compassion, empathy, desire to help others, and go on their own hero's journey. Superheroes give us a sense of control in a world that often feels chaotic. It tells us who's good, who's bad, who's right, who's wrong, and what we can do to save the world. And so superhero movies give us the opportunity to see ourselves in our own journeys, to see how to tap into our own powers and use those powers for good. Who is the director of The Marvels? Nia DaCosta is the first Black woman to ever direct a Marvel movie, and this matters, and it matters in a huge way. Representation matters. I'm not the first person to say this, but every mentor I've ever had has said it to me. You can't be it if you can't see it. So first, Nia in this role proves to young Black and brown girls that they too can have a career in film that's not just as a sexualized character or a bit part or someone like cleaning the studio. If she can be in a position of power, so can they. Secondly, specifically because of Nia's race and gender, she's bringing a unique perspective to Marvel and to the Marvels movie that no one else has. It is because of her identities that this movie is going to be different than the other Marvel movies that have been directed and produced. Do you think The Marvels will be a hit or a miss? I really hope that this movie is successful, but regardless of whether or not it has success at the box office is almost less important to me than the fact that it was made and that it gives inspiration and hope for those that see it who often don't see themselves or their lives reflected in popular media. When I was growing up and watching superheroes or badass, powerful women, I'm thinking of Wonder Woman, Lara Croft, Charlie's Angels. I mean, they all looked great, but they also looked super duper sexy. And as a little girl, it made me believe that if I wanted to be strong and successful in the world, that I too had to be sexy. And let me tell you, as a skinny, cross-eyed girl with braces and a limp, I did not feel sexy. What I wouldn't have given to see myself reflected, to know that I was just as capable, just as strong, just as powerful, just as brave. And doing all of that while wearing like the clothes that I would play in. And not wearing super sexy, tight, how are you gonna fight like the bad guys if you can't even like bend down or like raise your hands up in the air? The difference between this movie, The Marvels, and other superhero movies is that it was intentionally designed and created to not sexualize women and girls. And I think that that really matters and it's really important. It demonstrates so clearly that women and girls are more than just bodies for someone else's pleasure. The women have their own hopes, dreams, brains, talent, and that their bodies are super awesome and can do all of this cool stuff in a bunch of different ways, not just there to be sexy. I'm hopeful that this movie is a success in all the ways that we know movies to be successful, but I think it will be deeply meaningful and inspirational for those who don't often see themselves in media. All right, folks, that's all I have for you for today. I hope that you've learned a little bit of something about the Marvels movie and about the importance of representation and diversity in media. Thanks for joining me for Office Hours.